Good morning, students. This is your English class, class 11. This is poem 1 from your book Hornbill. The name of the poem is A Photograph by Shirley Toulson. This is part 4 of the video, and in this class we are going to discuss the literary devices used in the poem. Students, now we are going to discuss the literary devices used in the poem. First one is alliteration. Let's see the examples of alliteration in the poem. First one is, all three stood still to smile through their hair. Here, "sir" sound has been repeated in stood, still, smile. Second, all three stood still to smile through their hair. Here, "th" sound has been repeated in three, through. So, these are the examples of alliteration. Let's take up the next example. My mothers. Here, "m" sound has been repeated in my mothers. The next example is their terribly transient feet. Here, "t" sound has been repeated in terribly transient. So, these are the examples of alliteration. Let's take up next example of alliteration. The line is, "its silence silences." Here, "s" sound has been repeated in silence silences. So, this is also an example of alliteration. The next poetic device used in the poem is oxymoron. In this poetic device, two words are used together that have or seem to have opposite meanings. Example from our poem is labored ease. Labored and ease are two different words which have opposite meanings. So, this is an example of oxymoron. The next poetic device is epithet. It is a phrase expressing a quality of a person or something. The example from the poem is terribly transient feet. Terribly transient is the example of epithet in the expression terribly transient feet. Students, now we are going to discuss some important lines from the poem. First one is, the cardboard shows me how it was. Let's understand the meaning of this line. It means when the speaker looks at the cardboard with her mother's photograph. Past memories sprout in her mind. The next is, and the sea which appears to have changed less. It means the sea where mother and her cousins enjoyed their holiday has not changed much ever since, whereas the mother and her cousins have grown physically. The unchanged sea contrasts with the changes that human life undergoes with the passage of time. As compared to nature, human life is woefully short. Let's take up the next very important line. Washed their terribly transient feet. Let's understand the meaning of this line. Just like the footprints on a wet beach are washed away by sea waves in no time, human life is short-lived too. The tide of time washes away its very existence. The girls' footprints were washed away into nothingness soon after they were formed. The girls themselves died with the passage of time. Transience of human life is tragic. Let's take up the next important line from the poem. The line is, the sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Let's understand the meaning of this line. The incident of the sea holiday and the laughter of the mother, which were revived by the look at the snapshot, are now both the things of the past. Whenever the mother looked at the snapshot, she was lost in her past and relived the memories of her childhood days. For the poet, a look at the snapshot would remind her how her mother laughed innocently at the sight. She misses the joyful moments she enjoyed with her mother. Let's take up the next important line from the poem. The line is, both thrive with the labored ease of loss. Now let's understand its deeper meaning. Change is the harsh and bitter truth of life. No one can hold or capture time. With the passage of time, everything gets distorted, and man is compelled to accept this loss with ease, however hard or painful it may be for him to accept it. Let's take up the next lines from the poem. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. Now let's understand the meaning of this. It means the magnitude of the poet's sense of loss at her mother's death is too big for her to express it in words. It has left her stunned in disbelief. She is left to be constantly haunted by the vacuum her mother's death has created. Now let's take up the next line from the poem, and this line is very, very important. Its silence silences. Now let's understand the meaning of this line. The eternal silence of death seems to silence everything else, for only this silence now prevails over the thoughts of the poet. This silence also expresses human helplessness in matters like death.